Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this little video segment that I'm doing. My name is Jason Kaminski. I am a local Cleveland artist. I recently released a new album called Until Tomorrow through Head2Wall Records. So, in um, hopes of promoting the record and also keeping active with Blank Slate, who is very important in our music scene, um, we decided to do this little video series. I'm going to do four episodes. That's going to do deep dives into four of the songs from the new record. And at the end of all of it, there's going to be a little contest as well that will be giving away some merch from Head2Wall Records and Blank Slate, as well as myself. And then a top tier prize to try to get people playing some of these songs, hopefully. I've got some test presses and limited edition records that I'll be giving away as well. So, without further ado, the first song that I'm going to be doing today is called Goodnight Moon. It is the third track on the record. And though the title is certainly inspired by the children's book, the song itself is not about that. It's actually about a night that I had with some friends on an annual bar crawl that I guess doesn't happen anymore, but some good friends of mine and I had always tried to take part in Cleveland Beer Week, and every year they would do this. And the particular night that it was inspired from, though I always enjoy doing it, I was in a headspace that was kind of down and probably bumming people out, if I'm honest about it. But trying not to do that, trying not to let my mood kind of spoil the evening. So I'm going to try and kind of dig through the lyrics, also kind of just talk about how the song was written. I think when I write songs, I sort of just like start with a riff, and this particular song is how I started with this particular starting riff. And I think initially I just was doing the G to C, but the tempo of the song being like the waltz 6/4 was inspired from a song from my last record called Vesuvio, which was one of my favorites. So I wanted to do another song that used that. And one of the goals for writing for this record was to try and just expand my songwriting style a little bit, try and incorporate some elements of some of my favorite songwriters. I don't think it's hard to pick up on the fact that I'm influenced by Elliott Smith. Also a big fan of Brian Wilson. And one of my favorite things about what they do is sort of using chord changes or note integrations that fit well, but aren't necessarily, as a listener, what you're expecting is going to come next. And I think starting with that G to C, I found the placement of was a cool little thing I could do that hopefully would like hook in the listener. And I know when I'm developing an album or writing an album or whatever you want to say, I kind of wait for those things to stick with me before, I decide that it's a song I'm going to continue with or keep. If there are elements of songs that, are sticking in my head throughout a day, or, I find myself singing in the shower or whatever, I know that it's a song that is probably going to stick with other people too. So that's sort of what happened with this one. So after that intro comes a couple verses. Little boy in blue, watching everything you do. All you do is brood, but that's your effect. Crawling like a bug without intro plays again, but just to go kind of through those lyrics to set the stage. Little boy in blue, watching everything you do. It was really the subconscious of kind of being in my head too much on that particular day. I tend to do that often. And the next line comes after that, says, all you do is brood, but that's your effect. And that was kind of coming back from what I was saying about when I'm in a down mood. I don't want to affect other people in that way. But sometimes that's just how I am. And I think, I have a lot of friends that go through those emotions as well. And, there's no ill intent, but I think it's good to, have love and cherish those friends and family that, know that you're like that and are willing to kind of go with the flow and deal with it. And I think this is a good angle. I don't always write from my own personal perspective, but a good angle of kind of the roller coaster of emotions that, I naturally kind of tend to just go through. And like I said, I know plenty of other people that do the same. And then that next part of the verse, crawling like a bug with alcohol, softer drugs, never do enough, still you'll disconnect. And that was kind of directly tying into that particular night. And certainly not recommended to try and deal with problems by trying to disconnect from them. But knowing, if I'm honest, that, there are occasions where I'll try to do that. And that particular night was probably one of them. So then the intro plays again, and then there's another verse. Underneath the moon, steady pacing on your shoes, nothing left to lose but sobriety, staving off defeat. The water's neck deep, you can make believe, collect what you need in a bottle that puts all your demons to bed. So that second verse into the chorus there, and really that second verse is kind of the three lines that I was most proud of when I was writing it, kind of connected to what the song ended up being titled, but very specific about what was happening from the night that inspired the song. And then the chorus kind of overlies the entire essence of those moods or those particular nights in reflection, because when I would write the song, I wasn't necessarily going through that, but trying to understand why, those emotions pop up. Staving off defeat, the water's neck deep, you can make believe, collect what you need in a bottle that puts all your demons to bed. And like I said, kind of trying to live in the moment and use that as a way to snap out of the way you're feeling, but certainly not feeling like that's a long-term solution, and trying to be careful to not get stuck into that little groove. And then the intro plays again into another verse. Waving in the dark, blood is pumping from your heart, yet you're not a part of what you thought you'd be. Staving off defeat, the water's neck deep, you can make believe, collect what you need in a bottle that puts all your demons to bed. And on the record, we decided to play that out. There's like a long instrumental, and I had actually written in my notes that to me that was a crash landing, and the way that I felt was as the night ended, there's always sort of that come down, you go off to sleep, and tomorrow's a new day. But to kind of dive into those lyrics a little bit, of course I already talked about the chorus, but that last verse was sort of the end of the night, waving in the dark, saying goodbye to your friends. Blood is pumping from your heart is knowing that again, having hope. I always try to tie in that hope at the end of what may be a depressing song, or could be perceived as such, but um, yet you're not a part of what you thought you'd be is could be taken many different ways. I'll sort of leave that part up to the listener. I know where my mind was when I was writing it, but I think, like I said, kind of having hope in that manner is just because you may be stuck in a situation that you weren't planning on, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stay that way, and it doesn't necessarily mean that what you perceive as negative is always going to be negative, and vice versa. What's positive is not always positive. I think that's just the human essence of adapting to change and trying to make the best of situations. So I think I'll leave it at that. I'll play out the song as it's intended as a whole. And again, thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully you got something out of it. And I encourage you guys to take part in this little contest that we're doing. If you don't play music, we're certainly going to have the whole follow, like, share opportunities to win some prizes. And if you do play music, we want to hear you play these songs, and feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help people out that are interested in my music if they want to try and learn it. I'll do my best to instruct you, and stay tuned for the next one. Crawling like a bug, with alcohol and softer drugs, never do enough, still you'll disconnect. Underneath the moon, steady pacing on your shoes, nothing left to lose but sobriety, staving off defeat. The water's not deep, you can make believe, collect what you need in a bottle that puts all your demons to bed.